Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Monday to you. If there is such a thing, right? We've talked previously about Red Mondays, and today is no exception. We're only about 12.5% down on the day, 25% down since Friday. So absolutely a crazy situation, but also not so crazy either because, with the rate increase, the Fed meeting, all that crazy stuff kind of coming to a head, it's just things are finally happening. And it's good to kind of just get this over with. It's like a Band-Aid. Just got to rip the darn thing off sometimes instead of just slowly peeling it out and, ripping all your hair out. Okay. Although you do still lose your hair, it's the same thing. Or in this case, you probably get some gray hairs, depending on who you are. But regardless, we can see that the price is going down. We'll talk about that and much more. Furthermore, if you are new to the channel, just need to make sure to let you know I do have a trading academy, community, and signal group. So if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I teach you how to trade. I show you how to structure your trades effectively. You can follow them if you'd like, and just an amazing support community at our back. And it's great to be able to have everyone kind of come together recently in the community and just kind of help try to lift each other up and be positive. Because you really do need that in this kind of environment. Yes, it sucks that the price is down, but it's better opportunities. We'll look at that here. One last thing, I do have discounts for military and third world countries, so message me direct. Only use the contact information in the description below. Forget all those other nonsensical comments down below. I rarely comment on my own videos unless I reply to you, but there is a lot of spammers and scammers, so please be mindful of the fact that I will never solicit you. That being said, taking a look here at Bitcoin, we're going to look at the standard stuff and work our way down. First of all, why don't we just go to the monthly and kind of confirm a couple of things here. And this is actually going to be a little easier to see now that the actual price action is where it's at. So I'll go ahead and just pull this guy off here for a moment. And you can see we're getting really close to the 50-day set moving average on the monthly. That's roughly the price in which I was expecting for the price to come down and possibly test. So right around 21,500 is where that's trending. It'll slowly continue upwards, but right around, I would say 21,500, 22,000 would be a really solid dollar cost average target for you in this regard. Because again, not like there's any guarantees we're going to come down and test that level, but there's a likelihood. Another thing to note too as well, if we take the previous all-time high, basically, 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, we can see right at 20,000, I think it's like 19.8, there is a strong potential support level. Now, the reason why it's strong and potential support level is due to the fact that anytime you have a previous all-time high, it's common that will reaffirm itself as a support level. If you've seen price discovery, when a price breaks this all-time high, you'll see the price will break through that, come back down to test it, use that as a support and continue higher. Same exact situation happens here, only the other way around, right? Where we're coming back down to retest after being up for so long. And there's a strong likelihood we're going to see a lot of support at that level. Now, is there a guarantee it's not going to go any lower? No, definitely not. It could still go lower. It could be one of those crazy, again, unique situations. But for the most part, on average, you can expect previous all-time high to be a very strong support. And that's right there at about, just say round number, 20,000, 19.8, I think it is. And we also have a support there at the 50-day SMA at 21.5. So between 20,000 and 21,500, we should see a lot more support instead of this free fall we've seen the last couple of days. And that free fall happened because there's literally no support or resistance levels in that area. There is a small one at 24,000, which didn't hold at all. Granted, the one-day candlestick hasn't closed yet, but there's a strong likelihood that might actually work as a resistance level. We can look at that in a moment, but generally speaking, we're not looking great here. We're also under 50 on the RSI, MACD divergence, the whole 9 yards. Everything's kind of just coming to a head, and it makes sense that we're in the position we're in right now. And I'm actually kind of happy that it's actually acting at this point, and we're finally seeing some action because that dead sideways for a full month of June, / May was really just kind of difficult. It was really difficult to trade. This one at least picks a side, and we know which direction we're heading. We're going down. There's no other way around it. Now, how much lower can we go? Probably not super low. This isn't a limbo, right? We can only go so far. But at this point, I would say that the hemorrhaging might slow down a little bit, and we'll look at that here as well. Another thing to note too, and look at that, we wicked perfectly down to right around 22,500, which is essentially, it's really close. It wasn't exact. I think it was 22.8 that we came down to, 22.7. But generally speaking, there's this 200-day set moving average on the weekly is working as a potential support level. Okay, now again, no guarantees it's going to hold. That's roughly the area that I've been expecting us to test for a while now, and it has, finally, or at least really close. We got a very close approximate there. So again, that's a good sign here in the sense that the bottom is getting close. I personally feel that we shouldn't see a price point below 20,000. I think 20 to 23,000 will probably be the more realistic area or range that we're going to be stuck within for the next couple of weeks, perhaps even months, just until the price can average itself out at that lower price point, build more volume, and effectively continue higher from there. Okay, so I do think in the next couple of months we'll start to see some reprieve, but between now and then, with all the crazy, stupid stuff in the world right now, with Fed rate increasing and just a lot of stuff that's kind of causing the market to have this knee-jerk reaction. We had a significant gap down as well for the traditional markets too. And I had mentioned that over the weekend. If we see that, we're going to see a significant drop too, because they're correlated in a lot of ways. The regular market's tanking, for lack of better terms, and so is crypto. It's just, unfortunately, cryptocurrency is about 3 or 4, almost 5x of the traditional market when these things happen. All right. Again, just some stuff to think about. And before we take a look at the daily, let me just go ahead and drive this home really quick so you can kind of see. This is NASDAQ, for example. We got the gap down between Thursday and Friday. And of course, market opens very, very low. So a nice gap down there, essentially below this previous support level. So there's a strong chance we will see the traditional markets continue lower based on that sentiment alone. And unfortunately, this is looking very similar to the COVID situation. Obviously, we don't have that anymore, or sort of, but what I'm getting at is that we had this pretty significant steep shelf here, and it started with some strong gaps down, just like you see right here. Okay, so again, that kind of stuff will cause the market to have this knee-jerk reaction, just sell everything like crazy, and then our value all goes down. That's just kind of the standard way, but there's an inevitability that should occur, and we'll likely be able to see that hit perhaps within the next month or so when we hit the lowest price point for the traditional markets. All right, so again, a lot of different schools of thought there, but we are reaching some support areas here for the traditional markets, and we shouldn't expect the price to come tremendously lower. If it were to, I'd say right around here would be the lowest. Again, we're not here to evaluate that, but that's just something you want to kind of pay attention to and be mindful of, right? Because it's extremely important to know where the regular markets are doing. Excuse me. All right. So let me catch my breath here and go ahead and get on to the daily. Now the daily is basically doing what we're expecting it to do. In other words, the price action worked concurrent with the 50-day SMA, pretty standard until we get back up above that. We don't have a leg to stand on. Good news is the SMA will start to come down faster because the price action shot down so quick. Okay, so once the average of the 50 essentially is kind of comes down, then we could possibly see it. So what we could very well see is that the SMA work its way over like that, price action kind of gets stuck between 20 and 23,000, and then inevitably once it breaks back up above, that's the case in point where we're looking for confirmation. We're not going to be there for a while, but when that happens, that's the thing I'm going to be looking for, is a break above the 50-day SMA on the daily. Obviously a handful of other factors too. We need to be above 50 on the RSI, and we're under 30 for right now. We've actually been stuck under 50 for a full, 3 months was it? So yeah, April, May, June, I guess that's 2.5 months. And it's just been constantly down until, since 48,000 when Bitcoin hit its highest point. But the bottom line here is that breaking above 50 on the RSI will probably put us close to being back up above 50 on the SMA once we get there. Again, we're talking weeks and or months from here, okay? It's not gonna happen right away. Taking a look at the MACD convergence, divergence, we can see here, for lack of better terms, extreme divergence. I kind of mentioned this before. When that does happen, it kind of happens quick. And unfortunately, we've seen this sharp, steep decline. Obviously, there's a lot of factors included. It's not just, the MACD is diverging and it's going to continue. It doesn't mean we're going to see the price action continue straight down from here. But it does imply that we're going to be stuck in bearish territory for some time based on the overall sentiment from the last 2 to 3 weeks worth of sideways action, this range-bound activity, effectively lost that. And now that we've lost it, we can expect the price action to stay below. Another thing to recognize as well is that we're under 30 on the RSI. Last time it did this, it stayed under 30 on the RSI for how many days was that? About 4 or 5 days? So I would expect the price action to stay below 24,000 for at least a few more days. Likely the remainder of this week, and depending on how the Fed meeting goes, I think it's on the 14th/15th is what they have it scheduled for, then we're going to see potential rally back to the upside. But just know 24,000 is a very strong resistance, and we shouldn't expect that. But again, Fed meetings, a lot of things like that are unique catalysts that you want to be very cautious and careful with. That being said, there's nothing here that tells us the price is going to want to turn around anytime soon. Remember the analogy I've talked about in the past, falling down a flight of stairs. You're probably going to break some bones, you're probably going to be wheelchair bound and or disabled for the rest of your life. That's essentially what's happening with Bitcoin. Now, disabled for the rest of its life? No, definitely not. But what it will be doing is taking its time to recover. Okay, it's in physical therapy, or it needs to go in physical therapy. In fact, hasn't even had surgery yet because it's going down so fast, right? So now that when we stop the hemorrhaging, which is essentially occurring right now, hopefully, with more volume at a lower price point, we'll start to see that recovery happen gradually, okay? But do not, by any stretch of the imagination, expect a strong green candle in the next few days. It's very unlikely, okay? Doesn't mean you want to short your pants off either. It just means that we want to probably kind of stay on the sidelines and take it easy for a moment. That's what I'm doing with my community, honestly. We took a lot of good shorts and we got some really good profits in the last couple of days. But I'm not going to just start shorting like crazy because of the fact that it's continuing down lower. Yes, it could, but the best thing to do at this point with all the craziness that's happening right now is until the news occurs and we see what the actual price should be here in a couple of days once the Fed meeting's over, then we can understand a little bit more about where we're at in the present situation. Okay. When things go crazy, it's best to kind of stay on the sidelines and wait for confirmation. Only confirmation we have right now is it's going down. All right. Cool. So there's that. Right. Look at the 4 hour, obviously below all moving averages. That doesn't matter. We're well below 30 on the RSI, and traditionally when you go under 30 and or above 70, it will come back down to work itself out. So we should have a natural recovery back up to 24,000 based on that sentiment. Okay. Now, is that 100%? No, definitely not. But generally speaking, you shouldn't expect the price to come tremendously lower from there. Another thing we want to recognize too is that we're at an extremely over-exhaustive state. We hit a 9 on TD sequential when we haven't stopped. So we've literally had 18 4-hour candlesticks, whatever the math is on that, of straight downside. All right, so that's not really a good sign. That's very terrible. That's basically 3 to 4 days of just straight continuation, straight getting hammered. And the amount of liquidations is crazy if you were to be able to see that for the long positions. Like every hour or two, there's just hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of liquidations occurring. So once again, take long positions very, very carefully. Tight stop losses, or more so, no, not even tight stop losses, tight profit targets, because you need to ensure that you get filled quickly. And make sure your first profit target is 50 or 60% or higher. The main reason why is because once you hit your first profit target, the price reverses on you, your trailing stop loss kicks in, and you're all good. You still take profit. And that's the whole thing. You got to survive. We're in survival mode right now. We're not in thrival mode. Even though I don't think thrival is a word, you understand the reference, right? Because in bull markets, you thrive. Bear markets, you survive. That's what we're doing right now. And you know what? Millionaires are made on their second bull run, not their first. Okay. So the reason why that is because they're stacking up their dollar cost averaging on their way down with the bear market. I know it's easier said than done because you don't see any return on investment because it just keeps going lower and it almost seems like it's pointless, but we're going to hit a bottom soon and we're probably pretty close to that right now, right? Again, just something to think about based on the 4-year cycle. Watch my 4-year cycle videos so you understand what that means. Every 4 years, Bitcoin retests its previous high, and that's what's happening right now. We're very, very close to that. Okay, once again, 20,000 is that all-time high from before in 2017 December. All right, so moving on. Not much else we can really note here. MACD divergence. I mean, the likelihood again of the price going much lower from here is pretty low. Okay, so we've acknowledged on the 4 hour we have an exhaustive state. We don't have an exhaustive state on the 1 day, but we can count that this is a 7th red day in a row. Okay, so in truth, we shouldn't see much more than 2 or 3 more days to the downside. And it would make sense that today and tomorrow are still going to be red days based on the overall sense of the fact that the Fed meeting hasn't occurred yet, and that is scheduled for tomorrow and or Wednesday. Again, they have 14th/15th on their scheduling, so that's Tuesday/Wednesday of this week. All right, moving on to the 1 hour. Really nothing else to really note except for the fact that we have pretty much, you have a short position open, you want to leave that bad boy open. That's really all there is to it. It's been just a constant decline. There's no confirmation here whatsoever that the price is going to reverse. Even though it has tentatively, it still doesn't mean much. All right, and then if we take a look at, of course, TD sequential here, we can see, once again, we've hit some pretty stark numbers here. We got a 9 reset up to a 9. all good. That kind of washes itself out. We got another 9 down here. This was on, I believe, Saturday. And then the price comes down, gets reset. Another 9 yesterday. Another 9 today. So I'm like, come on, how much lower can it go? Like, this is literally the most exhaustive I've seen a state in quite some time. Once again, the last time I saw this was approximately 4 years ago. So again, this is something we need to acknowledge here, right? How much lower should it go? Probably not tremendously lower. So again, if you're going to take a long position, don't get ahead of yourself too much. Tight profit targets, but there's a chance that we'll see 24,000 retested, which is a previous support level. Once again, moving forward, we should expect the price action to average itself out between 20 and 23,000. I think we're likely going to see a nice range between there for some time. Okay, probably next month or two. I wouldn't expect the price to come much higher than 24,000 in the immediate future. Again, Bitcoin fell down a flight of stairs. It needs to recover. Right now it's in ICU, just trying to get better. Okay, so that's essentially where we're at. So try not to just jump right in and think that you have to do anything. What you should be doing right now, and I'm thankful that I got filled at 23,000, is to dollar cost average on your way down. That's all there is to it. Because again, yes, if you have an average price of 40, 50, 60,000 for Bitcoin, you're even more likely to see a strong return on investment if you invest now. You're averaging your price down by almost half to 2/3, depending on your overall position size. So I'm not telling you to put all your money in this basket right now. I'm just saying, in general, the best recommendation is to essentially make sure that you add a little bit at a time. Okay, I have plenty of USD left and available personally to ensure that I can buy the next dip when it comes closer to 20,000. But for now, I'm happy and satisfied that I got a small position in right at 23. Okay, and the same thing should happen for you as well. Try to be cautious and careful in that sense, but also don't put all your eggs in one basket. You want to kind of spread it out if possible. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and don't trip if you don't get filled. 23,000. If you have a buy order for 23,000 right now, just say you did that. It will happen eventually. So it's almost an inevitability for the price action to come back down there, and if not lower. This isn't the first and only time we're going to see the price in this area. It's going to continue to stick. Trust me on that. I can assure you there's no reason for the price to recover in the immediate future. Of course, manipulation does happen. We could see that, of course. It'll probably be likely a dead cat, though. So be very careful if you see the price coming back up. Do not start to FOMO in. It's not the way to go. Set your limit orders and stick to the plan and work within your risk tolerance. Those are all things I teach in my trading academy, so if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below, and we can go from there. So all right, enough rambling. I hope this was sufficient enough to help kind of guide you, but this is the way it goes, man. This is how cryptocurrency is right now. All right, so I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me here. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. You take care.